Blind tasting wines. The purpose of this task is to analyze, evaluate and identify a wine to determine its quality through visual and sensory analysis using a full organoleptic description and how to utilize this wine within the context of our sommelier profession. This video will display the blind tasting guidelines step by step. Blind tasting is made out of 6 main parts for which points are awarded: appearance, nose, taste, conclusion, food and service, overall communication. We will guide you through the blind tasting step by step. Appearance. When assessing the appearance, there are 8 steps within that part of the methodology. You have to mention the clarity, the brightness, the main color, the intensity of the color at the core, the rim variation, the viscosity of the wine, and any other observations that you might have.
This is a red wine. It's clear, it's bright, it has a very deep, nearly opaque garnet color to the core with a thin translucent garnet rim showing sign of evolution. The legs are very slow, plenty of legs, slightly coloring the glass, and there is no sign of sediment nor CO2.
Nose. When assessing the nose, there are 6 steps within that part of the methodology. Mention if the wine is clean or faulty, how intense it is, what are the main aroma groups as well as the main aroma descriptors, is there any oak influence, what is the maturity level.
The nose is clean, it's healthy, it's pronounced with a lot of layers, it is showing some maturity. There are pronounced aromas of cooked fruit, dried fruit, such as prunes, dried figs, dried blueberries. There is also an element of dried flowers such as potpourri, dried rose petals to that nose. After aeration, it shows even more depth and complexity with some more nuanced aromas of damp forest floor, dried leaves such as dried ivy, some nuances of bay leaf and rosemary, something quite Mediterranean about it, and some hints of cherry stones and dark chocolate. Also a very delicate seasoning coming probably from oak with some touches of cinnamon and vanilla. It's a complex and relatively mature nose.
Taste. When assessing the taste, there are 13 steps within that part of the methodology. Again, mention if the wine is clean or faulty. Is it a dry or sweet wine? Is it still or is there an effervescence, so is it a sparkling wine? What is the body of the wine? What's the level of acidity, its intensity, and what are the main taste groups and taste descriptors? Does it show the same oak influence as on the nose? Has it been aged or what is its maturity level at the moment? How are the tannins? How's the alcohol? And always finish with the finish and its length.
On the palate, this one is clean, it's very sweet, it's full-bodied, it's balanced by a lovely level of medium acidity, which is refreshing. The intensity of flavor is high, very similar to the nose, with an emphasis on the dried fruits, such as the prunes, the dried cherries, the dried figs. It's then followed by some more savory nuances of cured meat, damp forest floor, and still the beautiful, delicate seasoning coming from oak aging with some cinnamon, some vanilla, and some hints of clove. It is a wine which shows some maturity, but it is still developing. The tannins are high in concentration, but they are very fine-grained, very well integrated into the wine, and they are part of this overall sensation of smoothness. Alcohol level is high, slightly warming, but again very well integrated. The finish is very long and lingers for about 8 to 10 seconds.
Moving on to the conclusion. When making your conclusion, there are 9 steps within this part of the methodology. Mention any indications of vinification style. What climate is this wine from? Is it based on a single grape variety or a blend dominated by a certain grape variety? Explain its origin, stating clearly the appellation, the region and the country it's from. What is its age range? And perhaps give the exact vintage. What is the name of the wine, be it its label, its single vineyard or any other name? Give an indication of the quality. Is it ready to be drunk or does it have a further aging potential?
I think this is a fortified wine. I think it's based on a blend of grape variety, traditionally from the Douro Valley, so I would say based on Touriga Nacional and Tinta Roriz. I think it is a port wine from Portugal. In terms of age, I would say it's a vintage style, so I'm going to give the vintage 2000. I think it's probably from Graham's as a producer. In terms of aging potential, it has maturity, however, it still has potential for aging. So I would say at least another 20 years, and it is of very good quality.
Being a sommelier, speak about how to use it in a service environment and with which food. For this part, there are 5 different steps of the methodology. At what temperature would you like to serve this wine, and in what kind of glass? Do you think it needs decanting or rating, or can we pour it straight from the bottle? Give us a good description of a recommended course or dish that you would like to serve with this wine, and then explain your reasoning behind this pairing recommendation.
I would serve this wine at 12 to 14 degrees in some sleek red wine glasses. I think it absolutely needs to be decanted because it's a vintage port, so the sediment would need to be removed, but it also has still potential for aging, so aeration would be needed. So the purpose of the carafe would be both ways. In terms of pairings, I think I would go for classic pairings with a Stilton from the UK, which is a blue cheese, which I would serve with some toasted pain d'épices, gingerbreads. The reason for this is I think the creaminess of the Stilton plus the saltiness of the Stilton would match perfectly the sweet element of that port and the rounded smooth texture of that port, while the gingerbread spices will link nicely with the delicate oak spicing found in that wine.
Keep in mind your overall communication. This is where we assess the ability of the sommelier to communicate an overall impression of the wine as if describing it to a guest. It is important that the sommelier uses full sentences to describe the wine rather than using short phrases. For example, it's better to speak about a dominant and crisp acidity than a medium plus or high acidity.